Hello, everyone, and welcome to Conversations in Horror, the podcast. I am your host, Kevin L. Powers. I'm also the owner operator of Something Wicked Entertainment and Events, and welcome to the show today. Now, if you've been with us for the last couple of years, you'll realize that what we do in our program is that we decide to do a kind of critique and analysis and look at an individual film. We don't do a whole bunch of films, and we don't do a whole bunch of different aspects to the show, but we like to go ahead and just kind of critique, analyze, conversate, and have fun talking about an individual film, whether you've seen it or not, whether it's a cult classic or not. More than likely, the films that we discuss in our program are films that you may have heard of, but not necessarily have seen, which is why we want you to actually listen to us conversate about them. What we do is we hope that when you are listening to our program, you actually get a little interest or have a little question about the movie, and then you go out and seek out the film yourself and hopefully watch it. That being said, what we've been doing over this past month is we've kind of been doing something unusual, which was our themed month this month is called franchise films. So what we've been doing is we've been releasing individual episodes for an entire franchise for each of the films. And the film franchise we will be delving into today is the Maniac Cop franchise. It's not talked about a whole lot, but we wanted to give it a little bit of love because it isn't talked about, and we think it should be. And the Dave's film is actually going to be Maniac Cop 2 from 1990. And the person who will be joining me on this conversation is Mr. Dave Watkins. We want to just give him a warm welcome back to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me back, man. Last time we were talking about Maniac Cop 1. So here we are with the second one.
Yes, Dave was gracious enough to kind of entertain my ideal of doing Maniac Cop franchises, are one of our feature franchises for this month, and we are really happy to have him here.
Yeah, the main reason I wanted to do that when this one in particular because I have Blue Underground blue 4Ks of 2 and 3, so I just had watched them when you mentioned it. So
Okay. And for everyone out there listening, if you've listened to Dave on the show, he likes to give us little tidbits about some of the films that have made their 4K versions or restorations. And he can give us a little bit about some of the most recent films that have been done on 4K. And, he gives us a lot of great insight on that, especially if you are someone who has never seen the film and are thinking about maybe purchasing it for your own collection. So we want to thank you for
yeah,
that.
and yeah,
Yeah.
and the 4K transfers on Maniac Cop and Maniac Cop 2 look really good for what the movie is. Now the first film is doesn't have one yet. It's only on Blu-ray, but it still looks pretty decent. But these the pretty amazing 4K transfers for Maniac Cop 2 specifically.
Yeah, and especially considering that these were kind of straight to video films when they originally came out. So this is some of the best versions of these two films that are out
Yeah.
there. So,
Straight to
but
video, but they were shot on film, so they still look really good.
yeah. Thankfully, the director William Lustig wasn't at that point where everything was being shot on video because it was going straight to video. He was still using film.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, so we're going to delve into Maniac Cop 2, and it's a film that takes place directly after the first film. And we'll go into some of the plot details as we discuss the film and our ideals behind the film. But Dave, what were some of your impressions about Maniac Cop 2 when you first saw it, or when exactly did you first see it?
Right. I think it's weird. I saw the third one first. I saw it. It was on
Oh,
HBO all the time, and and then I think I started to watch the first one after this, and then I followed it up with two. But the main reason I think at the time I was kind of on a Bruce Campbell kick, and I was just watching everything he was in at the time
mm-hmm.
when I was watching one and two. But here he has we talked about the first one the other day, and he does have a kind of a smaller part, even though he's second in bill. But he probably is the second most important character in it, maybe the third most important character in the first one. Little
Mm-hmm.
different here. This does it pulls a Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4, where the returning cast members are killed off within the first 30 minutes. The ones that survived the first film, including Bruce Campbell. But I think Bruce Campbell's performance in this one is a lot better than his performance in the first Maniac Cop.
Mm-hmm.
I
Well,
mean,
he's
I think
also
he's
getting
like,
Now, I was about to
Do
say
I
he
know?
was given a little bit. He was given a little bit more to play with.
You're
The
right.
first film we
Yeah.
discussed that he was just kind of stuck in a jail cell for most of the movie.
Yeah, yeah. But it's like an odd thing because it must have been not that he sucked in the first one. He didn't suck. He was still Bruce Campbell and he was good. But something about his demeanor between shooting the first movie and shooting this movie, it's like a completely different demeanor. He has a different presence. I think that we're more used to seeing Bruce Campbell having. He
Mm.
must have kind of, but it could have been just the fact that he was getting killed off and he kind of had to do it and he kind of maybe he didn't want to be there, so we had a kind of a little bit of annoyance going on about it. But I think it works. I mean, and it's like it sucks to see him get killed because that was the main reason I came to the film. But it's actually that was when I came to it. But actually, I think that of all the Maniac cops, to me, this is the best one.
Mm.
Even though that does happen, and that kind of sucks when it happens, but it is kind of a shocking thing, I think, when it does happen.
Yeah, yeah. I really loved Tom Atkins in the first one, and in this film and the third one, I really love Robert Davi.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
I've
he
always
kind of replaces Tom Atkins in a way.
he
The
does.
character, it's kind of similar. Yes.
I saw him more as like a what do you call it, Clint Eastwood's Dirty Harry in this movie. He has his own way of
Yeah.
doing things, especially when he's first introduced and he's shooting someone who's escaping a window that's on what, second floor, I believe, and the cop comes up to him and says, well, at least this time you didn't kill him. And of course he says, well, I didn't want to do the paperwork.
Yeah.
That is straight
Yeah.
out one of the Dirty Harry movies, and I really like him
Right.
in this movie.
And he still has to, even though he doesn't have to do the paperwork, he does have to go see the shrink over at the police station, which he also doesn't want to have to do. So and he's kind
Yeah,
of, and he probably built that into that whole scene too. Just the idea of it. If I killed him, probably he'd probably have to be on leave for like a while and then talk to the therapist.
so for anyone who hasn't seen Maniac Cop 2, the thing about this film and the third film is that they kind of reiterate what happened in the previous film. So you get to see the ending of Maniac Cop 1 in this film, up to a point. And then, of course, we realize that the killer, Cordell, Matt Cordell, who is now kind of an undead Matt Cordell, is still stalking the streets.
Right, yeah. He at the end of the first one he ends up he gets like impelled and then he like it goes into the water and then you see him his hand actually come out of the water at the end coming out so he survived that. He looks a lot cooler in this film than he does in the previous film when you see him his makeup does. He looks a lot
Hmm.
more grotesque. I think that unlike the first one, which we talked about, where the lighting change and the mood changes about halfway through, this one keeps a very consistent moody atmosphere throughout,
Hmm.
which I think helps the film tremendously.
This film almost is less like a slasher horror film and more like a revenge cop thriller, in my opinion. I'm rewatching it and I was like, oh wait, there is a through line in this one. Of course, Matt Cordell is more or less trying to get his name or his honor restored, despite the fact he's a bad cop, which is an interesting ideal for the film.
Is
Um,
it? I don't know if that's really his goal. I think that's something that the cops
becomes
that's what the cops do. But I think his goal is revenge,
yeah.
though, really. And this film actually has like the first one, it has three separate segments almost. This one has two. There's definitely a part about in the middle of it where it completely switches gears because the first part of it, maybe the first 40 minutes, is dealing with the aftermath of the first film and him dispatching of the characters who survived the first film,
Hmm.
and after that, all of a sudden it cuts to like a strip joint, and it's
Yeah.
like, and then
Eh, eh,
it's
yeah, where he meets the serial rapist slash serial killer, Turkle. Um,
yeah,
Now, you bring up a really point, because like the first film, we distinctively talked about the three different like segments of the film, and this one has a two segments because the whole serial killer slash rapist Turkle thing comes
yeah,
halfway in the movie after Matt Cordell has had his vengeance on the people who thwarted his plan in the first movie, which is Teresa Mallory and Bruce Campbell's. I can't remember his character's name. Jack Forrest. I had to
Yeah.
look that up. Jack Forrest. These are like at the beginning of the movie. These two cops who were originally framed for Matt Cordell's uh, murders in the first film, who were framed for that, are now exonerated. There's a new police commissioner, or there's a new police chief, and a new city commissioner who have been brought in. And they just want to cover up the whole thing of Matt Cordell completely. Um,
Yeah, Michael Lerner plays the commissioner.
hmm
Great
I
actor.
I couldn't. I didn't take note of who played the new police chief because he's even less interesting in this film than the police
Oh
chief in
yeah,
the first film.
yeah. But he's not in it that much. But the commissioner's like Michael Lerner's got a pretty big part in it. Really,
Yeah,
he's like
yeah.
third build in the opening credits, which kind of falls in line. Really, the Turkle character. Well, it's funny though when it switches. All of a sudden, there's a serial killer rapist. There's no mention of it before, and out
Mm-mm.
of nowhere, it cut about. And I guess before we could get into that, there is a character who's the police psychologist played by Claudia Christian
Yep.
that they're having to go see, and she kind of becomes like a secondary kind of a main character. Yeah, really the main character, other than the Maniac cop is Robert Davi's character, but she kind of becomes involved
Well,
with the plot in a pretty big way. She almost gets killed by the Maniac cop. That sequence when Teresa Mallory gets killed, that's an amazing car sequence when all that happens, and then she goes and gets a chainsaw out and all that.
yeah. So, well, yeah. So for everyone who has seen this, after Bruce Campbell, who thinks Jack Forrest thinks that he's now this hero cop, he's at a night, a kind of a newspaper stand at night, and Maniac Cop, who's been prowling the streets, finally ends up killing him, and then
It's pretty
Teresa,
cool kill too, though,
it
really.
is.
Yeah, because he's like reading the newspaper, and suddenly this knife comes through the paper, and the knife comes down, and the knife is through him, and it comes up into his neck, kills him pretty damn good. Pretty. There's no way he's coming back from that one unless he's a maniac cop or something.
Well, thankfully he is not.
Yeah.
But Teresa, who is his lover slash partner from the first film, when
Bruce
she
Campbell,
sees,
not the maniac cop.
yeah, not the
Yeah.
maniac couple, so I get confused. Uh, we'll get to something that like that in the third film. But in this film, Mallory wants to actually just get out of town at that point. She's like she doesn't even want to deal with that with the fallout of Matt Cordell, because she automatically believes that he's still alive because they never found a body after the incident in the first film.
Yeah, but
So
Bruce Campbell's character is like, well, he's like trying to like I guess all the cops are saying that it wasn't Matt Cordell who did it, that it
yeah,
was some other police officer other than him, and Bruce Campbell's like, okay, maybe that happened, maybe we were mistaken, but then Teresa Mallory's like freaking out. She's like, it was him. I'm not gonna
yep,
lie, it was him, and she won't not tell the truth, and plus I guess she's still scared that he might still be around.
yeah, and that plays in hugely with Claudia Christian's character, Susan Riley, who's the therapist. She's not only seeing or has to clear Jack Forrest and Teresa Mallory's character for duty, but she's also having to do the same thing with McKinney, played by Robert Davi's character, which is how she gets entangled in this whole story with Matt Cordell and everything like that. She's
Right.
actually with Teresa as Teresa's trying to flee, but obviously Matt Cordell has been following her, and a whole like the first chase sequence it shows up, and it's a multifaceted chase sequence because it starts off with the ladies in the car fleeing Matt Cordell. And then after Matt Cordell kills Teresa Mallory, there's a whole different chase, not even almost a chase sequence, but a car
Yeah.
sequence with Claudia Christian's character. And she's been
Yeah.
handcuffed to the steering wheel and just let loose through the city.
Yeah.
It's
But-
an,
yeah. That William Lustig does a really good job of those type of sequences. This car
Mhm.
chase sequences, they're pretty intricate what all's involved with that. And
Yeah.
that sequence is pretty long too.
Oh, yeah. It's really well done though. It's a long sequence and it's really well done. I mean, until Claudia Christian could get herself into the car to stop the car, and even the
Right.
car crashes. So
Yeah.
uh, and then of course she gets an injury in her hand that she has to deal with the rest of the movie, which is always funny to me. It's like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, I forgot that happened to her.
Yeah.
It does play in later in the film, with her broken hand and everything, but it's just funny to have a character like that be put in that position for the whole
Yeah.
film. It reminded me of Chinatown when Jack Nicholson's character gets cut, his nose gets
Oh,
cut,
well,
and
yeah.
he's all screwed up for the rest of the film
Yeah.
like that. So
That's so awesome in Chinatown when that happens too, and just having to keep up with that makeup. That's a great movie.
yeah.
But here, briefly at one point, she does take that hand out of her cast and hits somebody in the face with it, and then it's like ow, and puts it back in. But but she, as an actress and having to do that, I bet she probably got her elbow locked up having to do that for so many scenes
Oh.
in that arm sling like that. But maybe not. Maybe not. I'm sure she took it out right away after they said cut. But
My God.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, well, who knows? For the film series, she's the one that doesn't show up in the third one, which I forgot she didn't show up in the third one, which, I like, it would have been nice to have her show back up.
right.
But,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they kind of we'll get in the third one when we get to it, but there's kind of a reason for that,
yeah,
and
yeah.
it's not because of her.
It's not because of her. But it's an interesting concept for the film to do what it does. Within like the first, like you said, 40 minutes, they kill off the two characters from the first film, and then the rest of the film follows Christian's character Riley as she tries to figure out the whole Matt Cordell story and if they were telling the truth. With Robert Davi's
Yeah.
character,
No,
McKinney.
yeah. Yeah, it was weird about the whole thing. She has a extreme transition because she's not believing him that it's Cordell, and suddenly
Mm-hmm.
she sees him, and then she knows it's Cordell. So I guess that there's always like a possibility. And if someone's telling you this story, there's always like if you weren't there, you're not going to believe it. But even if you are there is always a possibility that somebody is tricking you by acting like they're Cordell. But I guess maybe something about his presence, they just feel it. It's probably an evil type of presence or some kind of like wicked presence coming from him that they just know that it's not right, even though it's dark and all that. When,
Yeah, especially in this film when Matt Cordell doesn't really look like he did in the first film anymore because he was impaled and thrown into the water and you know
yeah,
so
yeah, he
mhm.
looks a lot. Yeah, he looks a lot cooler in this one. The makeup does,
Oh yeah,
but yeah,
most
but then
definitely.
she goes on that talk show thing and she's there with the commissioner and she's just like Claudia Christian's character and she's just like freaking out. And it's funny when they freak out about this sort of thing. If they were to approach this a little more calm, then I think people would take them more seriously. She's on there and she's just like he's out there, Matt Cordell's out there, whatever she says. But if she's just on there and she's like, look, I was out there, I saw a man, it was Matt Cordell, and if just really calmly say it and matter of fact instead of like freaking out. And they're like, oh, that's silly women just freaking out over nothing, you know?
That's the era in which this movie was made, unfortunately.
Yeah.
They'd be hard pressed to do the exact same thing in this day and age.
But it's like I think a lot of it has to do with it is that a little bit. There's some chauvinistic stuff going on, like oh she's full of it. But say if like even I think Bruce Campbell's character knows better than to do it because it's so out there. Like the truth is so unbelievable
Hmm.
that nobody's going to believe it. So why bother saying it? Why we might as well just say yeah, it was maybe somebody who was an imposter, and let's get on with it. You know?
You're right. No, you're absolutely right. If she was calm and said there is someone out there who could be Matt Cordell or someone masquerading as the maniac cop, all need to watch your backs and it's not safe out there. It would have been taken over much better. You are absolutely correct.
Yeah.
So, um, so
But that leads into the Turkle stuff because that's on the
yes.
TV and it goes to Kirkle in the strip joint and the and suddenly out of nowhere there's some titties like on screen, you know. They keep their bottoms on, but it looks pretty legit. The strip joint does. It's
So, Turco is played by Leo Rossi, who is in a lot of William Lustig films. I almost forgot he was in this film because he has the whole beard and mustache and the whole
yeah.
facial hair and stuff. And I forgot that he was in this film. So I rewatched. I was like, oh yeah, I
Yeah.
forgot that.
You
So I
know
was,
what you know what he looks like? He looks like Bela Lugosi in when he plays Igor in Son of Frankenstein. Yeah.
oh
Or kind of like the
Jesus.
wolf. He kind of a combination between that and the Wolf Man. But he looks really crazy.
Yeah, yeah, he. It's always funny to watch him in this movie because I have seen these several times now, Maniac Cop 2 or 3, because I actually was a big fan of the franchise. I actually enjoyed each one of these, but watching the show, I'm seeing a lot more details that I didn't see when I was a kid watching these movies, and
Yeah.
just enjoying them because I'm seeing a cop kill a bunch of other cops. Uh, and but seeing the aspect of the serial killer story, it comes out of nowhere. There is absolutely no reason for Matt Cordell to help Turkle, like clear that help him, save him more or less from the not strip joint, when he's trying to rape the one character, the one
Right.
female
Yeah. Yeah.
character that
Yeah.
he's trying to
There's a brand new stripper at the strip joint.
do. Yes, I can't remember her
And
name
he
though.
kind of and he's a stripper killer. I don't remember her name either, but he follows her back to her house, and there's a pretty cool shot. And it cuts to her room, and it does like a camera move all the way through the room, and you see all her stuff, and you see all her kind of little girl stuff and all this stuff. And she's talking on the phone to her mom, telling her that she's doing great, and she's did some acting gigs and all this, but she's really being a stripper instead. And then he busts into the room, and that's a really crazy sequence, really. And then he's strangling her, and then the cops are coming, and then they bust open. The maniac cop comes in. She's like, "Oh, thank God!" And all of a sudden, the maniac cop grabs her neck and starts trying to choke her. But then the real cops show up.
Uh-huh.
So,
And of
and then,
course, they both exit. And Leo Rossi's Turkle shows Maniac Cop his secret lair where he kind of lives and resides.
yeah, but
It's
yeah. It's like that. It's a kind of a cool partnership between the two. But if you look at what Maniac Cop does in the first film, he's always like killing. In the first film, he kills like people who are innocent,
hmm
like people who are about like a girl who's about to get raped, or someone who's like innocent people. He's been killing them, and I think that he's back online with that. And then he starts hanging out with Turkle because he thinks he's gonna bring him in that similar type of area, and it ends up does going to where he needs to go eventually.
Yeah, cause the thing is, with Turkle, and this is the odd thing about it, because Turkle is more or less an actual serial killer, whereas Matt is like was supposed to be a pillar of the police force of law and order and justice. And it's interesting to see these two characters work together. Well, more or less, Matt Cordell does his thing, and Turkle and his cronies just follow behind him.
Yeah,
The interesting thing about this movie is that Turkle kind of sees him as a mentor slash god in that respects, because he doesn't think that he thinks he's invincible when he's with Matt Cordell, because Matt Cordell
yeah,
kind of just kills everybody whenever they want to.
right. But
But
Cordell for the first time does talk to him. He says his name to him out of
mhm,
nowhere.
yes.
That's one of the two times the Maniac Cop talks as well during the films.
But then of course Matt Cordell has other agendas.
Yeah,
After spending, I think it's a night there with Turkle, Cordell leaves him behind, and of course Turkle goes back to his old ways. This is the only part that was that really like in line with. He like literally was on the hook for almost killing a stripper, and he goes right back to the same strip joint.
yeah, dumbass, real dumbass.
Where he gets picked up by the cops,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
McKinney has talked to the stripper that he almost killed, and they go to the strip joint to find him to see if she can recognize him again. And of course, he ends up going there, which is
yeah, yeah,
hilariously but dumb as well. It's like, why would a
yeah.
serial rapist go back to the scene of the crime?
Yeah, that was really ridiculous. It's really bad move. it really was a bad move not killing the stripper too, which they could have done it. I mean, Matt Cordell, he snaps like Teresa Mallory's neck like a twig. He could have done the same thing to the stripper. He had time to do it, but then they ran off instead of doing it.
Mm.
But maybe that was on purpose though, because that gets him it gets Turkle arrested, and that's where he wants him to be, the Maniac
Yeah,
cop.
yeah. Turkle gets arrested, and then, of course, Turkle becomes friends with some of the people in that
Yeah, the
jail.
jail. Yeah, Clarence Williams the third plays one of them pretty awesomely. He's
He
one of the
does.
main ones. Yeah, it briefly shows Danny Trejo, but he doesn't do much.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
noticed that
yeah,
too. I was like,
yeah,
wait, that's Danny Trejo. Oh,
yeah,
and they show him for like a moment, and then he's
yeah,
not shown again. I was like, oh
yeah,
man,
yeah,
look,
yeah,
this is one of his really early
yeah.
roles.
But
Oh,
he looked the same age though.
he looks, dude, that dude's like timeless. Like,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah,
so
I thought he was gonna be one of the guys that went with him, but he wasn't. He just had one shot. I think it's the very first shot of the jail cell. He comes in and shows a close up of him, and then it kind of it pans over to the rest of the room,
yeah,
and then that's
I
it.
was a little, yeah, I was a little disappointed by that too. I was like,
Yeah,
oh, this would have been awesome.
yeah,
It's still a great movie though. Regardless.
yeah,
But this allows the film to go into yet another one of the like other than the key car crashes in these Maniac Cop films, there's also the scene where the Maniac Cop goes to the police station and kills everybody.
yeah, yeah,
I had
yeah.
forgotten about that, and I was thinking,
Yeah.
Jesus,
What
William Lust.
I think, yeah. Yeah, I think the first one though, it was more like a lot of aftermath of it. Like it was more they would find the bodies. This one he actually
You
bust in there and you see it on screen. So I think that was kind of the whole idea. It was like they couldn't afford to do it with the first one, but this one they had a bigger budget maybe, and they're like, okay, we're killing these cops on screen. So
Yeah, I think
yeah,
William Lustig was having fun with that. I'm like, dude, you have to be having fun with killing these cops in every one of your movies. Like, literally,
yeah,
Maniac Cop, and you're killing mostly cops.
yeah, kills the whole police station.
But it's shot really well. It's
Yeah,
shot
yeah,
extremely well the way he goes through there and he kills all the cops. It does remind you of like what happened in the first Terminator when the
right,
Terminator goes to the police station and he just starts systematically killing every cop he sees. Or
yeah,
throwing them across through it, like he literally tosses people around like they're rag dolls. I
yeah,
mean, another one of
yeah.
those superhuman things that happens to him between the first and second movie. When obviously in this movie he looks like he's dead.
Yeah. But he was apparently able to do this in the first film too. It just doesn't show it happen on screen.
Yeah.
Um, one that reminds me though, this film for some reason it takes place near Christmas and there's Christmas decorations pretty heavy, especially throughout the first three quarters of the film, and then they just kind of
Was
forget
it?
about it. Oh yeah, yeah. And
That's really
yeah, yeah. When he
that's
busts
really
in there, yeah.
no.
Go
I
ahead.
was gonna say it's really bad because the movie in theory, only takes place a couple weeks after the first movie.
St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah, it was St.
Yeah,
Patrick's
right.
Day in the
Yeah,
first
yeah, yeah,
movie.
yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Like I
yeah,
wrote that down. I was like, oh, really? Is it that
yeah,
close to the last movie? I was like they hired all these new people because all the people were killed in the
yeah.
last movie.
Did they act like
Uh,
it was that close to it, like a few weeks or something?
there is mention of it, and there is mention of it because I wanted to make mention of it, but now I can't think of what the exact time period is. I didn't
Yeah,
notice it was Christmas stuff everywhere. I did not notice
yeah.
that.
It's yeah. It was funny because it's kind of like Die Hard or Lethal Weapon, where it's in maybe what was the other one, Night of the Comet, where it takes
Yeah,
place at Christmas, but at Christmas has nothing to do with anything. And it's almost like set deck, and it's really weird the way when you're watching it, you see a pretty good bit of Christmas set deck, and then like the last, I figured they would maybe try to tie it into something, but then they just kind of let Christmas go completely for the last like 15 or 20 minutes of the film. But
interesting.
yeah, yeah, when he busts in there, like he comes through the door, and there's like a wreath on the door, and it goes around his head for a moment before falling on the floor.
I did not even notice that, dude. I did not. I guess these are secret holiday movies without us realizing they were secret holiday movies.
It sure doesn't feel anything like Christmas though.
The first one didn't feel like it was going to be a St. Patrick's Day movie either.
Nah, nah, definitely
Oh
not.
Jesus. All right.
Yeah.
So once Matt Cordell busts through the whole police department and saves his Turkle and his cronies, the film shifts to a new aspect, in my opinion. They decide to go back to the prison where
Yeah.
Cordell was originally held at before he was brutally stabbed. Um, I think that's a very interesting direction to take the film with, because like the first film, there is a flashback to what happened to him in the jail.
Mostly the same flashback. They just used it again. So
They
it's,
they used it again, and they're going to do it again in the third movie.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
but with this one,
Look,
it
yeah,
plays up to the fact that the people in that flashback are some of the people that he actually kills when he goes back to the prison, which I thought was really creative.
yeah, oh, yeah, yeah. He's going back there to get his revenge on people that killed him in the shower. But yeah,
Hmm
that's a
Uh,
cool sequence too when that happens.
yeah. So
When he goes back and kills them. When he goes back into the prison, like you're saying.
yeah. But the thing is, at this point, also McKinney is trying to convince the commissioner to exonerate everything that happened to Matt Cordell, because McKinney thinks that's the only way to get him to stop doing what he's doing. Um,
Yeah,
and that brings up the other aspect we talked about earlier about the film, is that this film has a different trajectory at the last part of the film, because once McKinney tells this to Matt Cordell, he is on a different mission, and all the Turkle and his cronies all turn against him. And then of course Turkle gets one of the more interesting deaths in the
yeah,
in the
yeah,
prison, when he is thrown out of the building window. That the wall even comes apart when he
yeah.
gets thrown out the window, flaming.
That's the thing. It's like William Lustig loves doing this too. He loves to catch the Maniac cop on fire and have him be on fire for like a long period of time and just not care. He's like, it's
Yeah, that was very interesting. But in this sequence is really cool, because he catches on fire and he's going through this prison and just killing people.
yeah.
Like
The way he gets caught, the way he gets caught on fire is from the prisoners, though.
yeah.
That's what's so hilarious about it. They throw the fire at him, catching him on fire, and that way he's able to just walk over and catch everybody on fire and kill them.
So you kind of, when you're looking at this movie, you're right. He must have had a much bigger budget on this film, because some of the stuff is much more elaborate. Car chase sequences is much more elaborate. The makeup is better executed. The prison sequence and the sequence in the jail cell, very very elaborate, much more elaborate than in the first film. And it all looks fantastic for this film. Uh, uh, it does put the film in a different light. It's like I said before, not a straight horror film, but it still makes it look an amazing film.
Well, the Maniac Cop looks the way that he looked. He looks a lot better, but it's also a lot to do with the way that he's lit. The makeup's better, but it's also the way that he's lit and the way that it's shot. Because unlike the third one, which get to, there is someone else shot some of the Maniac Cop footage in that one, but the way that William Lustig shoots him though, with the camera wise, it looks he's able to do it in a certain way, so he's almost always carries this kind of mystique to him, where you kind of a lot of times don't see him that good, but when you do see him, it's he's like framed in a way so he looks really big.
Oh yeah, no, he definitely he looks really big in this movie compared to what he looked like in the first film, and it's still the same actor playing him. I'm assuming
Yeah,
he's still, like, he's credited as playing, the Maniac, Matt
yeah, yeah.
Cordell, Robert Zadar. But I'm hoping that it wasn't like a stunt person playing some of the scenes, and he's just playing it all.
Well, it had to be a stunt person for the part where he's on fire. Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
that one,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I mean, I
But
would think the stunt person probably it's probably is a stunt person a lot of the times. I would think, depending on the scene.
yeah, because Robert Zadar, we don't actually see his face like we saw him in the first one. First one we see it really clear at the very
Right.
end. This one we don't ever see it. In the third one we don't ever see him again, because he's been caught on fire and he doesn't look like that anymore. But that being
Right. Right.
said, you're right. I think a lot of the reason why it looks so good is the lighting in this movie compared to that of the first movie. The makeup and everything looks amazing in this one. So
Well, the lighting in the first one was dark and mysterious like this for the first 30
first,
minutes.
mm-hmm.
But then a lot of the ending stuff was very bright, and not that it still looked kind of cool, but yeah, I think the atmosphere here is pretty much maintained throughout the film. That dark, mysterious kind of New York at night, dangerous type of vibe. For the most part, a lot of it's at night, especially when stuff happens, you know.
Yeah, no, I think I agree with you because you have a lot of scenes in the second half of this film that take place in like the strip club, Turkle's lair, and then of course the police station and a prison. So yeah, you have much different um locations than like the ending of the first film, which was like a big parade in the middle of the city streets type of thing.
Yeah, which that was cool though because it's St. Patrick's Day parade, but that came out of nowhere too. That came out of nowhere and kind of came in with a bang, unlike Christmas kind of went out with a whimper on this one.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah, see, now I'm gonna have to rewatch it just to see those details because I could have sworn the way that this movie played it, it like took place like a week or two after the first movie, and I'm like, well,
Yeah,
it could
it's
be,
very
but
well pot. It's yeah,
there's a huge gap between St. Patty's Day and Christmas, and if it
yeah.
takes that long for Jack Forrest and Teresa Mallory to get exonerated, that's a problem. So, but
I
yeah.
mean, it's damn near a year, you know, in between. Yeah, you know, it's like was it like it's probably like 10 months or something to that nature between that. You know, St. Patrick's Day and Christmas. So.
Oof. So,
Yeah. But I mean,
but
still though, if you think about all the red tape it would take to exonerate, it's not necessarily even exonerating somebody, it's getting them ready again for active duty after going through a traumatic experience like that.
um,
But
yeah,
I
well,
don't know. But you're probably right. They probably do say it's been like 2 weeks later. Now it's Christmas.
yeah. Well, either way, the idea of the holidays plays like a very small and not important detail of these films. The details are in Matt Cordell killing and maiming and dispatching people.
Yeah.
Which leads us to after Matt Cordell has killed all the people who kind of put him in mortal danger while he's alive and in prison, and he's killed Turkle. Now I think the last thing is he's been exonerated by the commissioner, and he's allowed to go at peace, as McKinney would say. I'm trying to remember exactly. It felt like it just went straight from that to us seeing him being buried, if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken. Yeah,
Yeah, that's pretty much what happens.
yeah, because I felt this was kind of odd that McKinney and Matt Cordell don't have like their like
Yeah.
confrontation like you would no, like you would expect in a film like this. They don't have a big
Yeah.
confrontation.
Yeah, I was going to mention that for sure, but I feel like he never like interacts with a maniac cop directly. Unlike, you know, Tom Atkins' character, when he interacts with him, he gets his ass handed to him and killed. But yeah, I mean, he's kind of set up to be the hero of the film, but he is a hero in an indirect way, and he investigates. He's a hero for convincing the commissioner to exonerate Matt Cordell, and also to confess to being part of the whole conspiracy.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, in a different type of way, I don't think that William Lustig liked working with Robert Davi that much. I really think that he kind of shortchanged him a little bit on purpose sometimes.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Yeah, I don't know if it like it's funny in the first film when William Lustig's talking about how they got him in there. I think he was talking to someone who's wanting to spend some money on the film, and they're like, "Who you have in the film?" And he said he looked up on a poster or something, and it's like, "Oh yeah, Robert Davi's in the film." And then he's like, "Oh, Robert Davi, really?" You know. And then they went and talked to him, and he's into doing it. But I think when they went into doing the second film, it's like he didn't even want him to be in it. I don't know if I had anything against Robert Davi, but I don't think he was that into him.
Oh,
William Lustig wasn't, but
well,
yeah,
his character is so he's like very different in the third movie than he was in the
yeah,
second movie. He's very Clint Eastwood in the second movie. In the third movie, it's well, and we'll discuss that more when we get there. He's a
yeah,
different character. He
yeah,
shows his emotions and stuff. I'm like, this isn't the same type of character, but
right.
it could.
Yeah, there's a reason for it too, and I'll tell you when we get to
Oh,
it.
okay.
Yeah,
Yeah. So Dave loves for everyone listening. Dave sometimes listens to the audio commentaries and likes to
yeah.
hear or tell us some of the stuff that we wouldn't know unless we listen to audio commentaries. So you didn't
Well,
happen to listen to him on this one, did you?
yeah, I did, but I didn't listen to him. I listened to him about a year ago, so I didn't
Oh, okay.
listen to him again. But I will tell you the commentary tracks for both of these is one of the better commentary tracks on any movie. It's better than the
Oh,
movie, really, just because of how frank William Lustig is with what's you're seeing and and things that he says. So it's very good commentary.
oh,
A lot
okay.
different than you would expect it to be. It's very candid, very frank.
I would
Yeah.
hope. You know what? That's the one thing I would love for commentaries to be. I used to listen to it a lot when Blu-rays were just coming into their own, and they were like putting commentaries on every Blu-ray you bought and
Right.
DVD.
Yeah.
They were like commentaries out the butt. I used to listen to them back then. I stopped listening to commentaries years ago now, because it just took up a lot of time.
Right. That's what's frustrating about them too. But sometimes, well, I think with these though, it's just there's so much drama to happen behind the scenes. It's just pretty amazing. This one had less drama. I think on this one this is the one that William Lustig likes the most out of them. Just
Mm,
because I think when they were shooting it, I think everything just kind of fell into place and was going pretty good.
okay. Okay.
Kind of, yeah.
Interesting.
So I think he had a pretty good experience for the most part on this one. Not so
Okay.
much the third one,
So, since you're
but
mentioning the third one, we do want to make mention of how the film ends because that'll play into the beginning of the third film. After there's mention that Cordell has been exonerated and all that from the commission. Everyone, we see his funeral where he's being buried with honors with the rest of his police officers in the graveyard. And then of course Robert Davi throws Matt Cordell's shield onto his casket that's in the ground. And of course then we have to have something to tell us there's got to be a sequel, right? So of course, you know, Matt Cordell's hand busts through the coffin to grab his shield,
yeah,
and then the movie ends because you have to have that last minute that thing.
yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, they do that in the first one too. When in the first one, his hand comes out of the water and grabs that beam at the pier. So, yeah,
that's a
yeah,
lot less interesting than this
yeah,
one where he's busting out of the
yeah,
coffin
yeah,
and grab his shield. The other
yeah.
one, the hand just creeps out of the water and that's it. This one is that's why I
Yeah.
say, yeah, he got a budget for this one. He was probably really happy with it, and he actually, was able to do a lot more stuff that he probably wanted to do in the first film, but he was able to do it for the
Yeah.
second film. So,
Yeah, I think so too. That is a cool shot with the hand bust through there out of that coffin. But yeah,
uh-huh.
it's a good way to
So
end it.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, I remember watching this when it came out. Because I rented this when it first came out in video. I remember this because I liked the first Maniac Cop. I saw it a lot when I was a kid. And this was before I remember who Bruce Campbell was. Just I had not seen many films where the cop was more or less the bad guy. So I kind of really liked Maniac Cop. And for some reason, I enjoyed it a lot more than other horror films for the reasons that we discussed in the first film, which is the first film plays on three distinct different genres, and I think that's what made it so enjoyable to me. It wasn't like me
Yeah,
sitting at home watching a horror film. I'd see the horror aspects, but it also had chase scenes, and it was a cop movie, and it had multiple different layers to it in terms of its production value. So I was,
and it kind of
really.
yeah it makes a yeah. Sorry, I interrupted you. Go ahead.
No, I was I was just about to say it made for a great anticipation to watch and see a second film when it actually
Yeah.
came out. So
I think it makes I think that makes the whole what you're watching a little less predictable. I think that's
Mm,
what the to me, I think because you're not used to it being set up the way that it's set up, and things
hmm
happen with the characters that you don't expect. You know, like you expect Robert Davi's character to be the person to fight the Maniac cop at the end, but the Maniac
hmm
cop ends up fighting himself more than anything. You know,
hmm Yeah,
but
she's good.
yeah. And then Claudia Christian's character is like taken hostage for the last like 30 minutes. She's actually more active in the last part of the film than Robert Davi's character is because she's with the
Yeah,
maniac cop, you know?
yeah, which makes and I think that that allows her to be more in the story because she at the very first half she's acting like a psychiatrist and she doesn't actually believe the Forrest character and the Mallory character at first until she actually is strung in the car, handcuffed and thrown down the streets, and then she becomes, oh, maniac cops out there, oh, everybody's got to watch out, there's a maniac cop. But she also helps with McKinney seeing this as fact as well, which is her goal. But then, like I said, someone has to become hostage at some point, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
And then she
so
goes, but it's weird because he tries to kill her earlier. And then once he takes her hostage, though, he's not trying to kill her anymore. He's
mm,
just taking her hostage.
I'm not sure why that is, and the only thing I can think of is it has to do with something regarding his new alliance with Turkle and the other convicts, because he doesn't kill the other convicts either. Turkle and the other convicts kind of like tag along with him,
Yeah.
and he allows them to tag along with him.
Right,
So
right. And Turkle actually he when he gets killed, he actually almost kills himself
hmm
because he comes after the maniac cop when he's on fire and grabs him, catches himself on fire. But it's his own fault that he got killed, not really the maniac cop's fault. But
I am
he's
a
a real
little I
dumbass.
he
I
is a
think that
dumbass.
Turkle's
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I think he's not only is he a dumbass, he's also like he's so like out of it. So like he's he's so deranged, not deranged in a psycho way, but he's also doesn't think he does stupid stuff like going back to the strip club the next day. He in some ways thinks that he's invincible, and
Mm.
he works on his. I just think he's completely out of it. He's completely unaware of reality, and he doesn't even understand reality anymore.
Oh, most definitely. I mean, he gets put in jail, and immediately he starts singing that stupid Cordell song, anticipating that Cordell's going to automatically save him. Cordell does, but like, how would he ever know it? He's been with Cordell for like a day, if not barely a day.
Yeah.
You know, which
Well, yeah, I think yeah, but that might bring back something though, that because within the film, like I was saying before, like when say Claudia Christian's character sees him or Teresa Mallory's character sees the maniac cop, they know he's the maniac cop, and maybe there is some supernatural pull to it that beyond just seeing him or something. Maybe there's some kind of something that they makes people know that he's going to do something for them or do something against them.
hmm.
I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there. It's not really. It's yeah. You're on a roll with what you're saying. You're probably what you were saying is probably right because what I'm saying if that was right, they probably would have just said that in the movie. It's like,
No, the thing is, the with this second movie, it's just I love the format that he did with the first movie with the three different sections, and this film is very different. So you're one of the best things about these films is that you don't know what to expect if you're watching them for the first time because he does like this whole little twist on what you're expecting and what you think is going to happen. So it's unpredictable. Having a serial killer just show up halfway through the film and then Cordell be more or less with a partner is out. It's odd. It's different. It makes you want to watch these
yeah,
characters, especially when Clarence Williams III shows up. Now his is still a little difficult to swallow. That he just when Matt Cordell goes off on his own, he just kind of breaks down and he just completely breaks down and slides on
yeah,
the ground and quivers, and then we don't see his
yeah, right,
character
right.
again for the rest of the movie.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. But yeah, it goes. He's really good though. But even the first time you see him though, he is kind of there. He's nuts. Like but he is kind of like got a weird attachment thing. I think, and the more I think about it, the more I think what I'm saying like may be something more going on, like some kind of psychological connection to the Maniac Cop character. Like just being around him makes you feel powerful. And then once he basically like cut them off, it made them feel like losers again and like they're nothing. It was like just a withdrawal thing.
Mm,
It took away their power.
interesting. I never thought about it like that.
It
Okay.
made Turkle mad as hell. Made Clarence Williams' character like really depressed and sad. You know.
Yeah, and the other character gets killed really quick after that. So
Yeah.
yeah, which we don't ever learn who he is. He's just another person who goes along
Yeah.
with Cordell.
Yeah. Should have been Danny Trejo, but yeah.
That was before he started showing up in so many movies now, so it's okay.
Yeah.
He has like
They probably, yeah.
a really quick cameo.
Yeah.
All right. So, are there any other ideals or things you want to discuss about Maniac Cop 2? Because I know we started building on some of our stuff that we're going to talk about Maniac Cop 3, but I want to make sure that we got everything out in regards to this film.
Right, yeah. I think we covered everything I have notes on as far as I can see.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
one of the things we want to make sure that everyone listens to is that these are very different type of horror films. I know some people may not even include these within the horror genre, but they are, in my opinion, worthy additions to the horror genre because they showcase stuff that like a horror action film. It's not like a thriller, and we haven't covered any real thrillers here
Yeah.
on the podcast because thrillers are getting into this other type of subgenre that we haven't discussed or even tried to discuss yet. But this one does have a killer monster zombie cop in it, but it's also a cop movie. It's also a horror movie. It's also a thriller in some aspects. And this one, because it has a serial killer in it, you could actually, you could put it in that aspect as well. And
Right, yeah,
this
the subgenre, the serial
yeah,
killer.
it's a subgenre. It's interesting. And like I said, we hope that when people are listening to this and they're like probably never thought to add Maniac Cop into their horror genre watch list, that you'll go out there and you'll seek out the movie and take a chance on it if you had any misgivings before seeing it. Uh, or if you just saw the first film and you never bothered with the second or third one.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think the second film's like a lot stronger to me than the first one. It's some people I think you disagree with that. Like Tom Atkins is miss for sure, but I think he just kind of had it. I think he had it a little bit bigger budget, and he kind of had it together a
Mm-hmm.
little bit better with this one.
No, I definitely agree with you. I think that a lot of the production aspects are better in this film because he had a bigger budget. It's unfortunate that we didn't have another Tom Atkins and he didn't survive. But he's the one that makes the first film. He makes the first film, and I do think it was a bold choice to kill off Jack Forrest and Mallory at the beginning of this film. But heck, Robert Davi and Claudia Christian more than make up for those two, in my opinion.
Yeah,
Yeah,
a
they
very
more than
very
make up.
similar type of yeah. I was especially like I mean I didn't really like seeing Bruce Campbell go, but I guess it might have been tougher to keep him around. He probably could have served the same purpose that Robert Davi's character served, maybe, but they went with a different route with it. You know?
Yeah. Oh yeah. He could have. I mean, in a sense, the Robert Davi's McKinney is just a homicide detective who was brought in. He definitely is replacing the Tom Atkins character. He's just not Tom Atkins. Tom
Yeah.
Atkins has his gravitas about him when he's on screen. He's the Tom Atkins. You know.
Right.
Robert Davi is more known for playing a crap ton of villains than he is for playing good guys.
He wears a hat that's similar to Atkins' hat as well. You know, he's a taller guy, but I mean, I like what he does in the film. I like seeing him in it, but he's
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I have no problems with him, but yeah. Any final words about Maniac Cop 2?
and that's all I got right now. Yeah,
We'll probably bring up, for everyone listening, we'll probably
yeah,
bring up some more stuff about this film and the first film when we talk about
yeah.
the third film. I guarantee you. But for now, we and Dave are going to rate this movie. We do ratings for each movie that we watch, rating them from 1 star to 5 stars. 1 star being very poor, 5 stars being amazingly excellent. Where on the spectrum do you place Maniac Cop 2, Dave?
I'm going to put it at 3.5 stars, just a
Mm.
little bit above the first one. But I think this is of the Maniac Cop films. This is the strongest one, I think. But it's I think the film's a lot of fun. It has a great atmosphere to it.
No, I agree. I was going to give it 3.5 stars too. I think, and the reason being is I really love what they did with this film. I like the fact that the cinematography for the car chase sequence, the sequence of the police station, and everything at the
Oh yeah,
end
yeah,
works so much better than in the first film. First film has that quality of it being the very first one in the franchise, but when you rewatch it, you're kind of let down that Bruce Campbell doesn't have more screen time and Tom Atkins gets killed in the film, and then you're
yeah.
left with the lesser actors playing Mallory and Bruce Campbell, whose characters aren't given enough to hold weight for the rest of the movie. I think that having Claudia Christian and Robert Davi in this film to carry it actually works out better for the film overall.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, I think Claudia Christian was really solid in this film, and
mhm.
I do like kind of what they do with her character throughout it. Even though that freaking out part on television was kind of like you could have had. It's not her acting; it was kind of like the way it was intentionally written that way.
Yeah.
But it's just funny the way they have her and Teresa Mallory like doing that same kind of freak out way of talking. Yes,
Oh
when they
Jesus, you're
talk
so
about
right.
Maniac Cop, they're like it's like a it's like a panicking talk, instead of like trying to really convince somebody that it's true. It's like yelling at somebody to convince them that something's true.
No, you're absolutely right. Yeah, I never thought about it that way, but you're absolutely right. She's going on TV. She needs to be calm and collected and relay the information because she's trying to convince other people that there's a Maniac Cop out there. So,
Yeah.
oh Jesus. All right. So, with that, I want to thank you, Dave, for joining me on this conversation about Maniac Cop 2 from 1990. From everyone here at Something Wicked Entertainment, make sure to like, follow, share, subscribe to the podcast so you never miss an episode. Regular episodes are every Wednesday at 8 a.m. And then on Mondays are our special themed months at 8 a.m. as well. So check that out. And if you are in the mood, make sure to check out our Patreon exclusive sister podcast, Something Wicked, Something Wicked, Something Wicked, Conversations in 4 Color, which is our podcast on comic books, manga, and graphic novels. From everyone here at Something Wicked Entertainment, we're going to wish you a great day and make sure to check out all the episodes during our franchise month. I know it's going to be a lot, but you'll have a lot of fun listening to us talk about these films. All right. Have a great day. Conversations in Horror is a Broken Lighthouse Pictures production, written, produced, and directed by Kevin L. Powers, executive producer Kelly A. Inoka. All contents and material from this episode of Conversations in Horror is copyright 2025 Broken Lighthouse Pictures.